They say the history books have the answers, that they document what matters. But what they say about February 1946, 6 white men found dead along a stretch of pavement between Harlem and the Bronx, that version is sterile, cold. The official NYPD line? Gang violence. Case closed in under 2 days. No leads, no questions, no truth. But here's what they didn't tell you. What they sealed away in a file labeled "Do Not Pursue." Those men didn't fall to gunshots or blades. Their deaths weren't clean or quick or kind. They ended exactly how Big Willie Jackson's did, dragged behind the back of a pickup, conscious the whole way. Witnesses didn't just see it, they heard screams ripping through the night, voices begging, bones harsh against asphalt, and over it all, one voice, steady and cold. "He saved my life. You ended his. Now I end yours, slow." That voice was Bumpy Johnson's. On the night of February 21st, 1946, what he did didn't just end 6 lives, it echoed across the city. After that night, Harlem didn't see another white gang member for 20 years. Because no one forgot. Not the truck, not the ropes, not the 3-mile trail of blood. To truly understand what drove that night, you have to go back. You have to meet Willie Jackson. Born 1918 in Charleston, South Carolina, raised picking cotton under a southern sun and racial slurs that never let up. By early 1941, Willie was 23, a dockhand in Red Hook, Brooklyn, breaking his back for pennies while men passed him like he didn't exist. One bitter February evening, 5 white dock workers closed in behind a warehouse. "You're stealing work from white men," one growled, flashing steel. Time someone reminded you of your place. Willie wasn't new to violence. 6'2" and built from honest labor, he dropped 2 before the other 3 pulled knives, outnumbered, bleeding. That's when Bumpy Johnson stepped into the alley. They didn't know each other. They didn't owe each other. But Bumpy, he had a code. He raised his .45, fired twice into the air. "This man works for me. You got a problem with that?" The 5 froze, stared at Bumpy, saw something too real to fight with. They ran. Willie stood breathing hard, holding a cut. "I don't work for you," he said. "You do now," Bumpy retorted. "Because those 5, they're coming back, with 10 more. Work for me and live. Stay, you die." Willie gave it a beat. "What kind of work?" Bumpy answered simply. "The kind where you stay standing." Willie had been fooled by promises before, from bosses, cops, even America. But Bumpy's, it sounded different. "When do I start?" "Tomorrow. Small's Paradise. 6 sharp." And that was it. December turned to war. Pearl Harbor, 1941. By spring 42, Willie's draft letter came. Bumpy had the clout to keep him out of it, could have made a few calls. But Willie shook his head. "I want to serve. I want to prove I'm worth something, that I'm equal." Bumpy didn't argue. "Then go, and when you're back, your job's waiting. You've got my word." Willie stared at him. "Why?" "Because I see who you are," Bumpy said. "Not just a dock worker, not just a bodyguard. You're something more. And this country might not deserve men like you, but Harlem does." Willie shipped out April 42 with the all-black 92nd Infantry, the Buffalo Soldiers, led by white officers who saw them as expendable. Italy, 1944, Willie's unit was pinned by German machine gun fire. 7 down. No cover. Commander dead. Willie, just a corporal, acted without orders. Grabbed a Browning, charged straight at the nest, bullets tearing past. He flanked left, surged against the gun's blind side, killed 4 men, 3 with lead, 1 with his own hands after the rifle jammed. He saved 17 lives. They gave him the Bronze Star, the Purple Heart, a handshake from a general who later wouldn't let him eat in the same tent as white troops. Willie returned stateside in November 1945 wearing his uniform, medals gleaming. He believed he'd earned a place, finally. but a woman screamed when he sat beside her on a bus. A driver tossed him into the street. Midtown diners turned him away. The police beat him beaten for making eye contact on Times Square. By December, Willie was homeless, sleeping behind Small's Paradise. Bronze Star still on a torn jacket, breathing into his hands just to keep warm. That's where Bumpy found him, December 15th, near midnight. Bumpy stepped out, spotted the uniform, recognized the man. Willie Jackson. Willie startled awake. Mr. Johnson, why the hell are you sleeping in an alley? No place else to be. Came home to the same America, just colder now. Bumpy pulled out $300. Mrs. Patterson's boarding house on 139th covers 3 months. Tomorrow, Smalls. You're my protection now. Willie stared hard at the cash. Why? Bumpy didn't hesitate. Because I gave you my word. And my word means more than a flag that threw you away. Willie's hands trembled as he took the money. I won't let you down. I know you won't. And Willie, nobody lays hands on you again, not while you stand with me. Willie did more than guard Bumpy. He became his shadow. In under 3 months, he saved the man's life 3 times. First was a Saturday night at Small's Paradise, packed house. Bumpy at his usual table, going through numbers with Illinois Gordon. Willie posted behind him, sharp and still. A new bartender, Clarence, served them whiskey. Willie didn't like it, the tremble in the man's hand, the eyes darting toward the exit. He acted fast, knocked the glass off the table. It smashed. Bumpy looked up sharp. What the hell? Don't drink that. Clarence bolted, didn't make it. Bumpy's men tackled him. On him rat poison, enough to kill 3 men. He worked for a rival crew and he talked fast when cornered. They found him in the river 2 days later. After, in private, Bumpy looked at Willie. How'd you know? His hands, boss. Shaking, and he was already plotting his exit before you even lifted the glass. Bumpy nodded slow. You saved my life. Just the job, Willie shrugged. But Bumpy shook his head. No, standing by pretending to guard is the job. What you did, watching, knowing, that's different. He poured 2 clean whiskeys, raised his glass, to the first time. Willie merely smiled. Let's hope it's the last. But it wasn't. A second save came on 125th Street. Bumpy had been meeting with some Italian partners about territory. Willie, 3 steps behind, stayed alert. Rooftops, doorways, cars, eyes always moving. Then he spotted it, sunlight flashing off a lens. 3rd-story window, sniper. Without hesitation, Willie yanked Bumpy hard, sent them crashing through a nearby door. The bullet struck right where Bumpy's skull had been. Willie rolled, firing 3 cover shots. The sniper vanished. Later, at the safe house, Bumpy sat staring at the bullet hole. 6 inches. That's it. 6 to the left, I'm dead. But you're not, said Willie, because of you. Just doing my job, boss. But Bumpy wasn't so sure anymore. You keep saying that, but we both know better. Willie didn't argue. Just checked the curtains, made sure the windows were secure. Get some sleep. I'll take the first watch. The 3rd time, Willie knew it was coming before anyone else did. It was just before midnight. Bumpy had slipped out the back of Small's Paradise, heading alone to his Cadillac. Willie, as always, was close behind. 10 feet maybe. Enough space to scan both sides of the alley. That's when he saw the quick movements, shapes hidden in the dark. 2 men. Guns rising. No time to yell. No time to pull his own weapon. Only time to move. Willie threw himself forward, grabbed Bumpy by the shoulder, and pulled him clean to the ground. The first bullet tore into Willie's left shoulder, the one that still held shrapnel from Italy. He didn't fall. Somehow, he stayed on his feet long enough to raise his own .45 and fire 3 times. The attackers fled into the night. The adrenaline didn't last. Willie's legs gave out, and this time it was Bumpy who caught him. Stay with me, Willie. Willie grinned through blood. That's 3, boss. 3. "You're gonna be all right," Bumpy said, panicked. "Come on, just like Italy." "Took one for the team," Willie whispered. They rushed him to Dr. Silverman on 145. The doctor worked for hours, pulling out the bullet and cleaning the wound. Willie lived, barely, rested under a haze of morphine, breathing steady while Bumpy just watched, sat beside him in silence. 3 times in 3 months, each one a miracle, each one a debt too big to measure. The room had gone still, just road noise in the distance and Willie's breath. 3 times, Bumpy murmured. Without opening his eyes, Willie grinned. "You counting now?" "Hard not to." He stayed quiet a second, then asked gently, "That's your job, isn't it?" "No," Bumpy replied. "What you did, running toward bullets, that's not a job. That's something else." Willie was quiet, still under the morphine, but his voice carried something real. "Honest, you remember what you said to me in Red Hook, back in 1941? Bumpy nodded. "I said a lot of things. You said no one would ever lay hands on me again long as I was with you." Willie shifted. "Ain't no one ever said that to me before. My whole life just been told what I couldn't do, what I couldn't be. But that day, you didn't see trash. You saw someone worth keeping around. You saw a brother." His voice cracked. "And for once, someone finally treated me like I mattered." Bumpy's throat tightened. His voice came rough. "You matter, Willie, to me, to Harlem." "I know," Willie said softly. He shifted again, heavy with sleep. "We'll find who sent them tomorrow." "We will," Bumpy promised. Willie's face was soft now, giving into the drugs. "Boss? Yeah? Thank you for everything." "No, Willie," Bumpy whispered. "Thank you for all 3. Willie smiled one more time. "Might be a 4th. I can feel it. Not if I can stop it." Willie didn't answer. Those were the last words they ever shared. Miles away in Hell's Kitchen, Danny Morrison sat at Murphy's Tavern drinking with his boys. Paulie McCarthy burst through the door, wild-eyed. "Danny, that colored guy you shot? The one guarding Bumpy?" "Yeah, I know where he is." Danny narrowed his gaze. "Where?" "Dr. Silverman's place." 145. No backup. Just him and the doc. What followed wasn't hesitation. It was hate. 6 men, all white, all Irish, all drunk and hungry for the twisted comfort of supremacy. Danny gave the order. "Get the truck. Grab some rope." At 3:45 a.m., they stormed Dr. Silverman's home. Willie woke when boots pounded the stairs. He reached instinctively for steel, but his gun was gone. The door slammed inward. 6 men. Rope, knives, hate in their eyes. Willie fought, even hurt, but his shoulder was shot. The morphine dulled the edge. 6-on-1 was slaughter. "Please," Willie gasped. "I'm a veteran. I fought at the Gothic Line. I saved 17 men." Danny picked up the bronze star from the table and studied it like trash. "You ain't a veteran," he spat. "You're just a colored plain soldier." He dropped the medal, crushed it under his heel. They yanked him from the bed, down the stairs, and into the back of their truck. Ropes across his chest. He knew what this was. He'd heard of it before in Mississippi, Alabama. No. God, no. Danny gave one glance through the rearview mirror. "Let's see what kind of hero you are after 3 miles. The truck lurched forward, 4 miles an hour. Slow, cruel, and loud. When it was over, skin shredded, bones exposed, they left his lifeless body on 96th Street. An ambulance came too late. At 5:53 a.m. on February 18th, William Jackson's heart stopped. His final words to the paramedic were whispered and broken. "Tell Bumpy, I'm sorry I failed him." But he didn't fail Bumpy, not even close. The sun hadn't yet risen when Illinois Gordon broke through the doors at Smalls. "Boss, it's Willie." Bumpy froze mid-step. "What about Willie?" "He's dead." Illinois' voice broke. 95th Street. They dragged him, boss, his body. Illinois couldn't speak another word. Bumpy drove himself to Harlem Hospital, walked alone into the morgue. The attendant stopped him. He didn't care. Found the body, pulled back the sheet. What lay underneath would change him forever. Willie's body was gone, reduced to raw bone, skin torn away, muscles exposed. His face, a brutal echo of who he was, but in the tattered pocket of his jacket, still tucked away, were his bronze star and purple heart, bent, crushed, but there. Bumpy stood there for 5 full minutes. Didn't speak, didn't cry. He reached gently into the coat pocket, lifted the mangled metal and closed his fist around it. This metal. This was what Willie had believed in. What had kept him going. And they'd spit on it. Crushed it beneath them. It wasn't just Willie they'd tried to destroy. It was everything Willie had fought for. Bumpy walked out with fury in his chest and a silence more dangerous than rage. Back at Smalls, Illinois waited with a file folder. "You get names?" "All 6, Illinois said. "Danny Morrison. His crew, from Hell's Kitchen." Bumpy opened the folder. 6 faces stared back. Morrison, O'Brien, McCarthy, Murphy, Bennett, Sullivan. "Where are they now?" he asked. "Murphy's Tavern. All of them. Drinking. Celebrating." Bumpy closed the file. "Get me a pickup. Same make and model they used. And 15 men. Illinois hesitated. "Boss, if you do this, Bumpy cut him off. If I do this, Willie's death means something. The gangs'll know Harlem defends its own." The police called him a gangbanger and closed the file in 4 hours. His voice chilled. "So we'll handle it the Harlem way. Murphy's Tavern. Hell's Kitchen." 2 nights after Willie's murder, the 6 killers were inside. Doors locked, windows shut tight, guns ready. They knew Bumpy might come. Still, they weren't ready. At 11:45 p.m., 3 black Cadillacs crept down 10th Avenue. No lights, no sound. They stopped just outside the bar. 15 men stepped out, dressed in black, armed, silent. Illinois walked to the front door. Crowbar swung twice. Steel shattered. They stormed in like war. 6 men flailed, guns, curses, but Bumpy's crew moved like a blade. First 3 dropped Morrison. 2 men boxed in the back door. Others covered every inch of the room. Danny dove for a shotgun. Marcus Cole kicked it away, drove a fist into his gut. Tommy fired and missed. Quit Jackson shot the pistol from his hand. Paulie ran into the arms of 3 waiting men. Frank raised his hands. Too little, too late. Lou swung a chair, had found nothing but air before 2 men tackled him. Rick made for a window. Illinois slammed him face first into it. 90 seconds. That's all it took. 6 men, gagged, bound, terrified, lay writhing on the floor. Silent but shaking. The door creaked. Bumpy stepped through. He walked to the center of the tavern and looked around, not with fury, not with shouting, just calm calculation, memorizing each face like a ledger being closed. Then, from his coat pocket, he drew something small, something dented. He held it up, a bronze star, bent from steel-toed boots, light catching the edges. He crouched in front of Danny Morrison. "You see this?" Danny whimpered behind the gag. Couldn't speak, could barely breathe. Bumpy's voice didn't rise above a whisper. "This medal belonged to a man named William Jackson. He earned it at the Gothic Line, Italy, 1944. Saved 17 men. He thought it meant something." Bumpy's gaze didn't waver. "He came home, wore it proud, and you dragged him like he was garbage. He begged you, told you who he was, and you stepped on what he bled for." Tears streamed silently down Danny's cheeks. "Tonight," Bumpy said, rising slowly, "you're going to feel what Willie felt. Every mile, every scream, every second." He turned to the group. "But you won't be alone," he was. "You'll have each other." He looked at Illinois. "Put them in the truck." The men moved without question, pulled each one to their feet, out into the freezing dark. Bumpy followed behind them slowly, hands still holding on to Willie's medal like a piece of something holy. The truck waited in the alley. The same black Ford, same model, same year, mirrored to the one they had used to kill Willie. 6 ropes already cut, already tied to the bumper. One by one, they were placed side by side. Danny Morrison in the middle, each one conscious, each one gagged, eyes darting, tears flowing, trying to scream, trying to move, trying to survive. Bumpy climbed into the driver's seat, engine turning over like thunder. He looked into the mirror, 6 faces staring back in panic. He spoke softly to the night. "Willie saved my life 3 times. He paused. "And you, the 6 of you, murdered him for being a hero, for being proud, for believing his medals mattered." He dropped the car into gear. "Now I'll show you what they meant to me, to Harlem, to anyone who ever saw Willie and thought, that's someone worth protecting." The truck began moving, slowly, just 4 miles per hour, but enough. Enough for screams to build, for concrete to scrape through skin, for cold air to carry the weight of justice. Manhattan was asleep, but the echoes weren't. The pickup rolled quiet through the streets. Behind it, flesh, cloth, blood. The sound of tearing clothes and muscle, of muffled cries and metal dragging through concrete. Danny's back began to peel first, his shirt coming off in shreds. O'Brien tried to twist to shield his chest, but the rope stretched taut. Paulie screamed until his voice gave out. At 14th Street, windows lit up. People peered through curtains and fire escapes. They didn't cry out, didn't dial for police. At 34th, word had traveled. Shadows appeared at stoops and stairwells. They didn't speak, just watched. At 59th, Frank Murphy's motion ceased completely. Whether dead or unconscious, it didn't matter now. Lou's throat went next. No voice, no words, just eyes wide open, watching the stars above him like his last prayer. Danny had stopped resisting. His eyes were gone somewhere else. Distant, half alive. At 96th Street, the exact patch of road where Willie had been dumped, Bumpy braked. The truck hissed to a stop. Silence fell like a curtain. He stepped out, walked to the back with deliberate quiet. The scene was carnage. Limbs tangled, blood pooled, 4 still alive if barely, 2 clearly gone. Danny Morrison gasped in harsh, shallow breaths, eyes unfocused. Bumpy crouched beside him one last time, reached into his pocket, pulled out Willie's bronze star, held it up so Danny could see it. "Feel that?" he whispered. "Every inch of it. That's what Willie felt while you laughed, while you drove." Danny choked on blood. Tried to speak. Bumpy didn't care. He stood, pulled 6 small plastic cards from his coat, laminated, typed. He pinned one onto each man's body, alive or dead. They read the same thing. William Big Willie Jackson, Bronze Star, Purple Heart, 92nd Infantry Division. Buffalo Soldiers. Murdered February 18th, 1946. This is justice. Harlem remembers. And to Danny's chest, he pinned Willie's actual bronze star. Crushed, bent, sacred. "Promise kept," Bumpy whispered. "No one touches you again, brother." He returned to the cab, started the truck, drove off without a second glance, left all 6 bodies, twisted, bleeding, broken, on the very concrete they once claimed without consequence. By dawn, the news was everywhere. 6 Irish gang members, dragged to pieces. No arrests, no witnesses willing to speak. NYPD launched a 6-hour investigation only to write 6 unidentified white males. Cause of death, trauma. No suspects. Classified as gang violence. Case closed. And Harlem understood what had happened. So did the rest of the city. Every gang heard the message. Every corner had whispers. You touch someone under Bumpy Johnson's wing, not only do you die, you suffer first. The Irish crews packed up within days. Never came back. Italian families sent word, "Harlem's yours. We don't want a war." For 2 decades, 20 whole years, no white gang dared enter Bumpy's streets because they remembered. The black truck, the 6 ropes, the blood on the road. Justice was delivered. More than 2,000 people filled the Abyssinian Baptist Church for Willie Jackson's funeral. Veterans came, brothers from the 92nd Division, soldiers who'd fought shoulder to shoulder with him across Europe. Locals came, Harlem residents who had never met him but saw clearly what he stood for. Reverend Adam Clayton Powell, Jr. stepped to the front to give the eulogy. His words ran deep. William Jackson fought for a country that did not love him back. He saved lives in war. He returned with honors on his jacket and hope in his heart, and this country crushed him. I will not describe in this holy place what was done to him, but I will tell you this: he was not forgotten. Many will ask whether what was done in his name was revenge or justice. That's for the Lord to judge. He paused. What I know is this: William Jackson mattered. His life, his dignity, and his sacrifice mattered. And when America failed him, someone stood up. Someone said, "Not today, not to my brother," not without answering for it. When the last mourner left, Bumpy remained behind, alone. He stood before Willie's lowered casket at Woodlawn Cemetery. Quiet, still, in his hand 3 things: the bronze star, the Purple Heart, and a letter. He laid them gently on the lid of the coffin. His voice was barely more than breath. "You saved my life 3 times, Willie. I couldn't save yours." He paused, swallowing grief turned to fire. "But I made sure they paid. All 6. Every mile. Every second. You came home to a nation that didn't deserve a man like you, but you found a family that did." He placed the items down and stepped back. "Rest easy, brother. Nobody will forget your name." As the gravediggers began to bury the casket, Bumpy turned, tears in his eyes, whispered one last thing. "3 times you said not today. This time, I said it for you." William "Big Willie" Jackson fought 2 wars in his lifetime. One in Italy, where bullets called the rules, and one back home in America, where skin color decided them. In March 1944, he faced German machine guns and carried 17 lives on his back to safety. In December 1945, he stood between Bumpy Johnson and death 3 times over, and in February 1946, he laid down his life once more, this time facing down the same hatred he'd worn a uniform to fight against. They dragged him down Harlem streets like he didn't matter, but Bumpy Johnson made sure the whole city knew just how much he did. One night, 6 men, 3 miles of retribution carved into the pavement. Hundreds of eyes saw what happened. No one spoke. No arrests were made. No one stopped it, because deep down, everyone understood what that truck meant. So when someone asks you about justice, ask them back, whose justice? The one written in official reports, or the kind carved into the soul of a city that refuses to forget? Because Bumpy didn't just avenge a man, he honored the bond they shared. Willie wasn't just a soldier, a bodyguard, or a casualty. He was family, a protector, a hero whose medals were worth more than fines and paperwork, worth more than silence. They were worth Bumpy Johnson tying 6 men to a truck and dragging them until the city that failed Willie Jackson was forced to remember him. He didn't die for nothing. He died a warrior. And Harlem won't ever let that slip quietly into the dark. If your heart stirred hearing his story, if you understand the weight of those 3 words, "not today," and what they meant every time Willie stepped between another man and death, carry his name with you. Remember it. William "Big Willie" Jackson, Bronze Star, Purple Heart, 92nd Infantry Division, a Buffalo soldier, born 1918, killed 1946, not by a foreign enemy, but by the country he fought for. Yet he never stopped believing in something better. Not for himself, for all of us. That belief still echoes in Harlem, in every corner where people looked at the streets after that truck rolled through and said, "Never again." Justice isn't always clean. It's not always handed down in a courtroom or signed on paper. Sometimes it's delivered on the same road where the crime took place. Same truck, same speed, same pain. Because that night wasn't about revenge, it was memory. About making sure nobody hangs a man's name on a headstone without first understanding who he was, what he gave, and who would carry his legacy when he no longer could. Willie didn't ask for a war with his country. He just wanted to come home to a place that saw him as a human being. He didn't get that, but he did get a brother, one who made the whole world remember. And that's what this story is. It's the sound of loyalty, of blood, oath, and street justice, of a promise kept even when the nation made none. It's the kind of legacy that can't be undone by a history book ignoring a name or a report closed in under a day. It lived in every eye that watched that truck go by, in every whisper that said, "Don't cross Bumpy's people," in every gang that vanished from Harlem without a trace. The city learned, the country didn't, but Harlem remembered, still remembers. Rest in power, Willie. Rest knowing your story was not erased. It was rewritten, in blood, in fire, in unwavering brotherhood, and now retold, not for pity, not in shame, but so that no one ever forgets that you fought 2 wars, won both, and died a hero. Some stories aren't written in ink. They're carved into pavement, sung in silence, and carried through generations. Willie Jackson's story is one of those. A soldier who fought for dignity, a brother who gave everything, and a man who died believing in something better. His country failed him, but Bumpy Johnson didn't, and neither will we. Let his name echo far beyond Harlem. Let it live in every corner where someone stands up and says, "Not today, not on my watch, not to my brother." If this story moved you, if you believe heroes like Willie Jackson deserve to be remembered louder than the silence that tried to bury them, hit that subscribe button. We're telling the untold stories powerful enough to change how history is remembered. Tap that like if you believe dignity is earned and must be defended. Do you think Bumpy Johnson brought revenge or real justice for Willie Jackson? Tell us in the comments. We're listening.